Well, it is time, guys. It is time for the Eggman Expo video. No more stalling. So, thank you to everyone that voted on the poll. Thank you for voting for Expo and then Kraken Bay after this, so we may go to Kraken Bay. But let's talk about Expo real quick. Expo is one of only 2 tracks that actually has all 3 sections show up. What do I mean by sections? I'm talking about land-based section, the flight section, and the water section. The only other track off the top of my head is Kraken Bay. And this actually causes a lot of mistakes that can happen on these tracks, and there's a lot to talk about with this video. And Eggman Expo is a very unique track for that reason. Unlike the other 3 tracks we've talked about in the previous videos, Eggman Expo is a whole different ball game in Sonic Speed compared to the other tracks. And in Supersonic Speed, it's pretty similar to the other Supersonic Speed tracks, but we'll go over that later. Now, to quickly get it out of the way, what makes me qualified to teach you about time trial at all? On screen are some of my top time trial times. Again, these are a little bit cherry picked, but I wanted to give you guys at least some idea of, hey, I have some credibility at least. This is not trying to brag or anything like that. This video is mainly targeted to people that are trying to improve at the game and want to improve at Eggman Expo specifically. Eggman Expo is not a super hard track by any means, but it's also not an easy track. And that's what makes it really enjoyable for me. It makes me really love this track so much. So, without further ado, let us start off with the Supersonic Speed character card combos and gadget builds that you want to be going into Expo with. When it comes to time trialing Sonic Speed Expo, you might automatically assume that Eggman or Zavok or Werehog or Knuckles with J Iota is easily the best vehicle combo. That is actually surprisingly wrong. Eggman Expo is actually very much dominated by Trail Runner, and specifically Trail Runner with power characters. You can run Trail Runner Miku as well. Trail Runner Miku gives you more handling, so she's very viable here too. And the reason why Trail Runner is more viable than E-Gear, even though E-Gear has more boost, it's more or less to have to do with speed and how E-Gears handle the exit gates. So when E-Gears are going through exit gates, especially on Expo, you actually have a very high chance of getting flung to the right or left side of the gate very hard at a really awkward angle. It's like you're getting an automatic snapdrift out of the gate, so it's very, very finicky. Not only that, Trail Runner itself takes a lot of lines better in the boat sections. And not only that, the Trail Runner itself is actually able to get a lot more value off of all the rings it's collecting because it's able to double stack ring gain boost because of the slipstream cap being 10 speed higher than all the other vehicles. So it can translate speed so much better than these other vehicles. This does not mean E-Gears are not viable. You can still run an E-Gear in Sonic Speed Eggman Expo and find a lot of success. It is very, very viable. I'll show you guys right on screen. The 4th ranked time on Eggman Expo uses an E-Gear with Miku specifically, so it is still very viable. Now, when it comes to picking your Trail Runner character of choice, I recommend Eggman, Knuckles, Zavok as per usual, Werehog is fine. If you don't want to run these characters, you want to run handling characters, run Amy, Cream, Silver. You can run Rusty if you want. You can run SpongeBob. SpongeBob's fine. And obviously Miku, but my Miku's modded, so my bad, guys. But you get the idea. Now, without further ado, let's get into the Sonic Speed gadgets. When it comes to Eggman Expo, there are going to be a few gadget sets I'm going to go over. I have to go over both E-Gears and power vehicles because this track is dominated by power vehicles. I'll go a little more in depth into those. But let's go quickly over the E-Gear builds that I've talked about in previous videos. So, the primary build obviously is Ring Game Boost, Perfect Charge Bounty, Level 2 and Level 3 Quick Charge. This is just the most core consistent build when it comes to high speed, but it does suffer from the fact that you have to be on perfect rhythm and you have to get Perfect Charge Bounty off on almost every single Level 3 you get. You cannot be missing these, and if you fail to get a Level 3, you will slow down tremendously. Be very careful in that, but it is very consistent and very reliable. The Tectra variant, however, is about getting as many rings as humanly possible and staying in the Level 3/Level 2 boost state as much as humanly possible. If you mess up this at all, you're able to salvage it quite quickly, but it does change your lines due to the slipperiness because the track feels more like Blizzard Valley or Sand Road. You got to be very careful of that, and it's a lot more high execution, so if you are not on point, you will fumble this build quite heavily. You'll run into walls, things of that nature, so be very careful with this build, but it's still very viable. As I showcased earlier, the 4th ranked time does use this build, so do not fret. It is still viable, especially even with the flight section because you have quick charge level 2 and 3, so you still can get those perfect charge bounties off very consistently. To go into the power vehicle builds, this build I want to go over real quick. This is going to be the non-online build for anyone that cannot access online but just wants to set a S rank time. This is probably going to be your best build of choice. Quick charge level 2, quick charge level 3 with the power vehicle, very consistent. This is also for the E-Gear as well. This can work very well. And I actually count this air trick bounty actually gives you more rings than Dash Panel Mini Bounty does. You actually get 5 tricks off compared to the 4 dash panels you go over. So you actually get 10 total rings instead of 8. This is just a lot better. It's a lot more consistent. And because of that, this is probably going to be your best gadget. And I'll go over why you don't want to full commit into like boost character kit or other things of that nature, or air trick expert plus air trick bounty. So I'll talk about that when we get to the mistakes section. Starting bounty boost is really good because you start with 30 rings. And because of the 10 rings you get from air trick expert by the time you hit the water section, you have 40 rings already figured out, and you just need to figure out the last 60 rings. And when you figure out that last 60 rings, you'll easily set an S rank time, and you can easily get this track figured out. So what is the main build for Eggman Expo for a power vehicle? What is the best build? The best build actually is perfect charge bounty, double ring game boost with its mini variant, and quick charge level 2. The reason why this is really good is actually because there's a lot of lines that you can take that are very long drifting lines, but because you're not running quick charge level 3, you can actually time your perfect charge bounties on the exit of those lines in order to min-max how many rings you're collecting very quickly, and you can actually stay in the level 3 rhythm because of those extended drifting lines, so it's perfect for that reason. Not only that, remember how I stated earlier, power vehicles get a slipstream bonus cap, which is about 10 more speed over every other vehicle. You can actually double stack this, and you can get so much more speed than any other vehicle in the game. Not only that, when it comes to handling the water section, this is personal bias, I think it is a lot easier to handle the water section with power vehicles, so because of that, you can actually get these perfect charge bounties off without messing up your line too much in the water section. And in the flight section, just go for level 2s, obviously, get 6 rings, and constantly stack with the ring game boost. It's just an amazing setup. It is really, really fine-tuned for this track. Without further ado, let's get on to Sonic Speed Eggman Expo. When it comes to the mistakes of Eggman Expo, I'm going to be talking about these in a general sense, so whether you're playing Power Vehicle E-Gear, it doesn't matter. But let's get on to the first one, and it's just going to be like Wonder Museum, which is actually drift greeting. Now, Expo really exacerbates the problem of drift greeting, where you have these long bends that you really want to get your level 3s off of, but you might potentially be going for these level 3s and spinning out, hitting an obstacle, or even losing rings on the walls. Be very cautious of what you're doing on these turns, especially with E-Gear, since you can lose rings off of hitting walls. Power Vehicles have built-in bumper guards, so you don't have to worry about this as much, but just be very careful what you're doing. Try not to egregious drifts too much. It's going to be very, very easy to do so. And another tip for power vehicles, make sure that when you're on straights, you're just going for level 2s and you're not going for level 3s. This is actually going to lead into the next mistake, which is actually not knowing what drifts you should be getting off. Now, not understanding what drifts you should be getting off seems like a very redundant mistake to talk about, especially with drift greeting, but I want to highlight this specifically because there's a very stark difference between how E-Gears handle drifting and how power vehicles handle drifting. Now, this is going to be particularly pertaining to power vehicles specifically, and the reason I want to state this is because with power vehicles, you do not want to be in the drift charge state at all. You want to be in the drift boost state as much as possible, but you want to minimize the time you're in the drift charge state. If you do not minimize the amount of time you're charging your drifts, you're actually going to be at about a -4 speed penalty, so make sure you are just getting level 2s off. If you can get a level 3 off before a bend, huge. You get a level 3 off after taking the whole bend while drifting, good. But if you're on a straight or you're in the flight section, just get level 2s off. It is way better. It's going to save you a lot of time, and it's really, really going to min-max your power vehicle usage. While we're here, let's talk about the next mistake, which is actually not minimizing your jumps in the water section. Now, a lot of people might want to jump in the water section to get tricks off, things of that nature, but it actually is a lot slower in a lot of these water sections because you are getting too much airtime. Airtime in this game is actually very detrimental. It will slow you down, and even with the amount of tricks you can get off, it still is a lot slower than just holding a tight line to the left side of Expo's tube and just holding your drip. You can get like 1 or 2 jumps off, but anything more than that is completely unnecessary, and I really do think that if you want to min-max your time here and you really want to improve at Expo, you have to minimize the amount of times you're jumping. I recommend jump after you pass the first box and jump over the second box, hold a really tight line, and then you can do a second jump, but really depends on that second jump. If you can get a level 3 off before you exit the tube, then it's perfectly fine to go for it. Otherwise, just hold your level 3 out till the end of the tube so you have an instant level 3 coming out of it. Speaking of holding your level 3 going out of the tube in the water section, let's talk about another mistake that you might be making, and that is actually just not holding your level 3s going into or out of the flight and boat sections. Now, this is something that a lot of people mistakenly do, which is they use their boost before they go through the gate, and you can actually lose time on this. Because you're in the air and you're stuck in the air, you're actually losing a lot of time in your drift boost, and you want to try to min-max the amount of time you're in the drift boost state, especially if you're using a wisp at the end to cut the boxes on the end of Expo. Then you can see save you a lot of time and can give you a little bit more speed due to how drift stacking with boost works and all that kind of stuff. So make sure that you're holding your level 3s when you're going into flight and boat gates and when you're exiting flight and boat gates. It gives you a lot more speed for a lot longer, and it's going to be a lot better overall. Not only that, let's talk about mainly how you should be handling the water section itself, which is another mistake that you're probably making, which is actually you're not excel releasing in the water. Now, just like snap drifting, this is more of a slightly advanced thing. So when you get really good at Eggman Expo, or you feel like you're getting really comfortable with Eggman Expo and you really want to take the water section to the next level, you should really learn how to excel release in the water section. Now, excel releasing in the water section isn't as hard as it sounds, and the main reason why excel releasing is so good, especially with a power vehicle, is because you can actually take turns a lot tighter due to it, and excel tapping or excel releasing, depending on where you're at in the water section and how close you are to the left side of the wall, can easily help you to go around that bend very easily without hitting the wall. And if you get a perfect water tube section where you just don't touch the left side of the wall but you're hugging it as tight as humanly possible, you can get a jump off almost instantly after you get through that last bend, and you can charge a level 3 to be able to go out of the boat section with a level 3 coming out of it, which is super helpful and it's super good overall. But yeah, other than those two mistakes for the water section, let's go on to the next mistake, which is actually knowing which wisp to get and where to use these wisps. Now, going into mistake number 6, let's talk about what wisps you should be getting. Now, the wisps that you should be getting are very easy to understand because all of them are in your direct path. So the first one, right after you drop off from the starting line, very simple, very easy to get, and it can lead you into getting a 5 ring on the left side of the boxes, so it's very easy to do. Next, after you take the jump going out of the initial first section, you have the choice between the left or right path. Always go with the right path. The left path is completely irrelevant. The left width is completely irrelevant because there's no major sections of off-road. Don't even worry about it. And grab the wisp on the right path on lap 1. This is going to be important when going into grabbing the third wisp, which is actually in the flight section on the right side of the honeycomb panels. Grab that wisp on lap 1 as well. And you might be wondering, wait, that's 3 wisps. What about where I'm going to be using them? We'll get to that in a second. It'll make a lot more sense, but just know you're going to be using one of your wisps, aka the first one that you pick up, immediately on lap 1 for a good reason. Now, the final wisp is actually the king wisp. It's going to be on the left side of the water section where the 2 boxes are at the nearing the absolute end of the water section, and you got to make a jump to do it. Remember how I stated that you don't want to make too many jumps in this section? This still holds true here. You should only be doing 1 to 2 jumps at the most, and this is where you're going to be taking your second jump. Instead of immediately jumping on that set of boxes that's coming up with a 10 ring on it, on lap 3, skip that section. It'll be a 20, 10, and 20. Don't even go for those rings at all. Just go for the 10 in the middle, and then align yourself with the king wisp on the left side. Jump. It might make you fall out of the tube without touching the water a second time, which, if I'm correct, is actually more beneficial than just landing back in the water. This saves a little bit of time in the air, and not only that, you can pop the king wisp right away, and that gives you enough time to charge a level 3 going into the end section, and you have more than enough time to break through all the boxes, which is very beneficial. Now, talking about where you should be using your wisp, let's talk about what I was stating earlier, which is actually that first wisp. So, that first wisp, you're going to pick it up, you're going to go grab the 5 ring, get a level 3 off if you can, if not, get a level 2, and you're going to line yourself on the very left side of that first bend, because there's 2 sets of boxes that are actually hiding 10 rings in them. Break the first set of box with a wisp, grab the 10 ring, and then go to the right side, grab the 10 ring on that, and then start your drift. This is going to line you up to get 20 rings super early. You get 2 sets of 9s guaranteed if you know what you're doing, which will set you up immensely going forward. You'll have at least 38 rings at the bare minimum if you did everything correctly, which is gorgeous going into the next section. Not only that, if you start drifting before you hit that second side of the boxes hiding the 10 ring, that can actually set you up for another 9 ring before you even jump, and then set you up to charge another level 3 going into the right route section, which is absolutely perfect. That is the best way you take that first section, and it's the best way to use your first wisp. Next, going into the last few sections, you want to use wisp number 2 and 3 on the end cut where the 3 boxes are blocking, and you want to take as inside of a line as possible. This is very beneficial because not only are you breaking all these boxes very quickly, they're the best spots to actually use your wisp. Not only that, you're actually able to charge a level 3 because of the increased speed of the wisp. You're able to get a very consistent and nice level 3 off without having to counter back so many times to the point it just slows you down tremendously. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And then on lap 3, obviously, you grab the king wisp, do the exact same thing, but you'll be going a little bit faster, so your boost charge is a little bit faster, and then just stick with level 2s for the rest of the straightaway. Do not try to go for level 3s after you've already gotten that level 3 from using the boost wisp. It is a lot slower, and it's going to be completely unnecessary because going for these level 3s, remember, you are going to be at -4 speed for even longer, and it's going to cause you way more problems going forward. Outside of these 7 mistakes for Sonic Speed Eggman Expo, I really don't think there's a lot more I can really talk about. There is a lot of mistakes that you can be doing, and then there's a lot of line-based mistakes and drifting mistakes. I really do think get your fundamentals down for this track, because once you get your fundamentals down, you can actually start really taking advantage of min-maxing on your drifting, min-maxing on your lines, and min-maxing in your water section and flight section knowledge. It's a very good track in my opinion for learning the game and improving at the game. I really do think that if you really like Eggman Expo, you'll like it even more once you start getting really good at this time trial. And if you've been struggling to get the S rank on Eggman Expo, or you wanted to get a better time on Eggman Expo and didn't know how, hopefully this helped you. Now, without further ado, let's go into the Super Sonic Speed Eggman Expo gadgets, characters, and vehicle choices. When it comes to Supersonic Speed Eggman Expo, the best build obviously by far for any Supersonic Speed track is Shadow and Neolitron or Blaze and Neolitron because they both have the same stats. Very consistent, very core, but there's another build you can run. With Eggman Expo, because it's similar to some of these other tracks like Radical Highway and some of the Crossworlds like White Cave in terms of how you play them, you can actually make a speed vehicle work here, which I actually didn't know until I actually looked at the top times for this track, and the third ranked time on Supersonic Speed is a speed vehicle with a power character. So honestly, from the looks of it, what I can tell you is run Shadow or Blaze and a Neolitron, or you can run a power character and a speed vehicle, and it should work just fine. Big thing to note about this is that you get a little more boost using a power character. If you want to have the best possible chance of min-maxing the speed vehicle, probably use Whisper actually. More handling, more boost, and more speed, and probably use Royal Chariot if I had to say. It is probably going to be your best bet if you're wanting to use a speed vehicle here. This is probably your best combo. Anyways, let's get on to the Supersonic Speed gadgets for Eggman Expo. So, in terms of Supersonic Speed Eggman Expo gadgets, the core gadget set you're going to see almost everywhere is Perfect Charge Bounty with Starting Bounty Boost. This is just super core, super easy to get consistent times with. It is super good. You can get a lot of Perfect Charge Bounties off very quickly, and Starting Bounty Boost is just 30 rings automatically to your total, so it helps you get to that 100 rings very quickly. Just like all Supersonic Speed tracks, you really want to 100 rings as soon as humanly possible. Starting Bounty Boost helps with that quite a lot. Now, granted, you could use one of the quick charges over Starting Bounty Boost, but I personally think Starting Bounty Boost is better, and it'll be better long term, but again, I don't play enough Supersonic Speed, I haven't for a long time. If you want a gadget that's a little bit easier to pull off, Drift Charge Kit with Perfect Charge Bounty and Starting Bounty Boost is not bad. This is a solid gadget setup, very consistent, very easy to pull off. And in terms of wanting to make this work, if you have only free gadgets and you have not played any online at all, I would say this is probably going to be your best setup more than likely. Again, in the Sonic Speed section, I went over this but quickly. Air Trick Bounty actually gives 10 rings as opposed to Dash Panel Mini Bounty giving you 8 rings. So because of that, you already have 40 rings figured out. You just got to figure out where you're going to get the other 60 rings. This is specifically for the handling vehicles. When it comes to speed vehicles, you are going to be full committing to Speed Machine more than likely. Speed Machine Kit will give you 20 more speed. Speed Tuner 1 is probably going to be your best bet over Speed Tuner 2. Not only that, when it comes to these other gadgets, I highly recommend just stick with Starting Bounty Boost, and I would say potentially Quick Charge Level 2. It might be the best, especially if you're running Whisper with a Speed Machine, because you can get more consistent drifts off. Again, I don't know for sure what the best setup is for this, unfortunately, when it comes to a Speed Machine, because I've never used a Speed Machine on Eggman Expo. I'm just throwing that out there. You can use this. If you don't want to run Quick Charge Level 2, Ring Range Up is always a good option. Very solid for this track on Supersonic Speed from the fact that the third place time actually uses it, so I'm going based on what they have. So please forgive me if my information here is not perfect. Obviously, I'm just going based on what they have. Anyways, without further ado, let's get on to Supersonic Speed Eggman Expo and the mistakes you're making. Now, whether you're coming from Sonic Speed or you're just skipping to the Supersonic Speed section, let's talk about the first mistake, which is drift greeting. Drift greeting is not nearly as bad on the Supersonic Speed Expo because most of the time you are only going for level 2s or you're easily going to get level 3s from long bends, so usually you don't have to worry about this. Now, one thing I want to point out is that in the flight sections, you really want to just go for level 2s. Going for level 3s takes way too long, and because you're using counter quick charge, or even if you're using drift charge kit, it is just better to go for level 2s and chain level 2s. Now, when it comes to the long bends, usually because of how much faster you're charging boosts, and especially with counter quick charge, you can get a very consistent level 3 going into each bend, and you can get a consistent level 3 coming out of the bends. Don't be afraid to go for level 3s on longer bends, or even before bends as long as you set it up properly. Otherwise, try to go for level 2s, improve your lines and fundamentals first, and then come back for those level 3s later. Going into a mistake that's a little more advanced than the others, and this is something that I talked about in Eggman Expo SS, is Excel releasing. This is going to be more exacerbated in Supersonic Speed, which is Excel releasing in general. Now, Excel releasing is something that, as it sounds, you just release your accelerator, and this is something that's very vital to getting very, very good times in general. Now, you might think I'm just trolling you and just saying this just because, but if you watch any of my footage, and I'm going to show tons of this footage, you'll see that if I'm on bends or in the water section, I am Excel releasing or Excel tapping. Now, you might be wondering, why is this? Well, in water sections, if you are not Excel releasing, if you go too fast, the water actually acts more like ice, especially when you're drifting. So because of that, you're actually sliding across the water like it's ice. You have no friction, you have no drag, nothing. There's literally nothing applying onto you, and it's super easy to go slam into a wall in the water section, and it's very, very easy to take super wide angles, which wastes a lot of time, and it's very hard to take the water sections that way. Excel releasing and Excel tapping here are your best friends, and it's something that you're going to have to kind of get the feel for. I can't really put it into words how it's going to work. Definitely learn Excel releasing and learn how to properly Excel release and Excel tap. This is vital to getting really good times. You don't have to do this for S-rank times, to my knowledge, but I personally think if you want S-rank times, you want to have consistent S-rank times, learn Excel releasing. Do not break tap, do not break. That is just losing too much speed, and it's going to make you lose a lot more time than just Excel releasing and taking the turns just a little bit more slowly. Now, you can apply this even onto the longer bends. If you're trying to take a long bend super tight and you're slightly too wide, just to quickly Excel release for like maybe a quarter second, then re-tap it and hold your Excel button, and you should be able to take a tighter line. You'll have to get the feel for this, and it's something that, again, I can't translate this to words, but just slowly kind of figure it out and slowly carve a path for you to learn how Excel releasing really works. But again, you have to learn this. This is going to be vital, especially on water tracks. So Water Palace, Golden Temple, Expo, Aqua Forest, you really should learn Excel releasing and really learn how to master it if you want to take your supersonic skills up from an 8 to a 10. Now that we've gone over something a little more advanced, let's go over something a little more simple, and that's just some fundamental knowledge of knowing where the wisps are and which ones you should be getting and when. So the first wisp is going to be after you jump from the starting section. Just go to the left side and collect that wisp, and that can lead you into collecting a 5 ring on the far left where the 2 boxes are hiding it. You can collect that 5 ring without hitting those boxes, and if you can do that, you're doing a really good job already for your start. Next, let's talk about the second wisp, which is actually going to be where the split path section occurs very shortly after the starting area. Now, this section, you never want to go to the left. You always want to collect the wisp on the right path. The right path is faster, and the left path is a lot slower, and it's completely unnecessary, and the only time you should be going over there is if you make a mistake, and if you do, just reset your run. But anyways, collect that second wisp, and then when you get to the flight section, you want to collect the third wisp, which is going to be on the far right side where the honeycomb panels are. You want to collect that wisp. Now, you might be wondering, Estella, why am I collecting all 3 wisps on lap 1? Well, I'll get into that here in a second, but just know you're not going to have 2 in your inventory when you're collecting the third wisp. You're only going to have 1. Finally, the king wisp. The king wisp on lap 3 is very simple. Just collect this one by jumping the one time you should be jumping in the water section. Now, I'm going to explain that a little bit later because that's a major mistake that a lot of people are doing, but this is the only time you realistically should ever jump in the water section of Eggman Expo Supersonic Speed. Now, you collect this king wisp, you use this right at the very end to blow through the boxes, and then boom, you're home free. Now, going into where you should be using your wisp, remember how I said you're not going to have 2 wisps in your inventory when you're collecting the third one? This is why. The first wisp and knowing where to use it is actually very vital. You should be using this wisp to collect 2 10 rings at the very start. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to collect the wisp, you're going to go around the first initial bend, and you're going to line yourself up for the left side, and you want to use the wisp to blow through the boxes, collect the 10 ring. Then you want to realign and aim for the second set of boxes on the right, which also has a 10 ring. You want to collect that and start up a drift, making sure that you collect the 10 ring, don't hit the wall, and you're able to get a level 3 up. This is a very tight line. It's a decently advanced, but when you can master this line, you're going to have a lot more rings going forward, and with starting bounty boost on top of the amount of level 2s or 3s you're going to be getting off beforehand, you have a much better time of getting 100 rings very, very quickly. Now, the last 2 wisp and the king wisp should be used on the end section where there's 3 boxes right at the very end of the track. Just use it there all 3 times. It is faster than using it in any other potential section. Do not use them in the water section. The water section, it is a lot slower, and it does not do anything at all. It will not benefit you, I promise you. Next, remember how I said you should never jump in the water section? This is a Expo and Golden Temple thing, and this is going to be very, very important for a lot of these water sections. Do not jump in Golden Temple or Eggman Expo at all. It is significantly slower. Literally, I'm not even kidding. Before I started actually practicing Eggman Expo for this time trial video, I actually had a 2:25 time, which is very, very slow. I literally, kid you not, I just decided not to jump in the water section at all, and I decided to take as tight of a line as possible on the left side, and I saved literally 3 seconds alone just by water section time saves. It is beyond important to not jump in the water section at all in Supersonic Speed Eggman Expo. You will notice that you save a ton of time just in the water section alone. Please, for the love of God, the only time you should ever jump in this is to collect the king wisp and never again. It is completely, and I mean this, completely unnecessary, and even then, it may be unnecessary to even collect the king wisp potentially. I didn't even get that far into practicing. I only spent about 30 minutes, but there is a chance that you don't have to even collect the king wisp. And if that's the case, literally never jump in the water section. It is so much slower, it doesn't benefit you, and it literally, the airtime kills you. Like, I mean this literally, the airtime kills you. It is horrendously bad. Next, going into the next mistake, which is not nearly as bad in Supersonic Speed as it is in Sonic Speed, which is actually entering and exiting both flight and boat gates with a level 3 charge if possible. Now, the reason why I say if possible is because in Supersonic Speed, it's a lot faster to charge a level 2 and a level 3. Now, the big thing is, the reason why you want to go into a flight gate and the boat gates with a level 3 charge is because you want to go into them going as fast as humanly possible, because in the flight path, you're only going to be charging level 2s, and being faster in the flight section allows you to charge and chain level 2s much more easily and much more consistently. Whereas in the boat section, because you never want to jump, getting that initial level 3 off in order to then hit the dash panel and then you just drive along the water without jumping, it's a lot faster than just getting a level 3 beforehand and then just driving. You want to make sure you hold a level 3 going into the boat section. It is going to save you a good amount of time and it's going to be way more beneficial. And again, I'm going to preface this one more time. Do not jump in the water section, please. It is not going to help you at all. When it comes to the final mistake of Eggman Expo, it is actually going to be specific to Eggman Expo Supersonic Speed, because in Sonic Speed you can usually not do this, which is actually hitting the dash panel at the very start of Live 3 where the mech is trying to attack you. In Supersonic Speed, because you're going so fast, you're actually faster than the mech is able to attack, and because of that, you're actually able to consistently get to this dash panel. Now, obviously you need to have a level 3 coming down from the initial jump in order to have more than enough speed and then get a level 2 off, but if you're able to do that, you can always get this dash panel very safely, and then you can start charging up at level 2, and you can stack the level 2s together, and then start charging up at level 3 going around the bend. Very consistent, very safe, very easy as long as you know what you're doing. Now, if you still end up getting hit, just avoid it in general. Again, you should not be getting hit if you know what you're doing and you're doing the correct steps before you get to the section. Otherwise, this is completely safe, it is very consistent, and it will save you a little bit of extra time than just going around to the right. And do not waste a wisp here, it is not worth it at all. I promise you, that one little dash panel is not going to make or break your run. Skipping the cut at the end where the 3 boxes are that you can just blow through with a wisp is going to lose you a lot of time if you don't use it there. Anyways, guys, that's all the mistakes for Supersonic Speed Eggman Expo. I know I didn't go into too much detail. I tried to give you some of the biggest mistakes that you're probably making in Supersonic Speed, and I'm giving you some mistakes that are actually going to benefit you when you go to other tracks such as Excel Releasing. You should really learn how to do this. And not only that, in water sections, do not jump. The water sections in Supersonic Speed are literally impossible to control if you're going at full speed, so not jumping at all. And also Excel Releasing and tapping is so much more beneficial than anything I could have told you in this video otherwise. But without further ado, guys, let's get on to the final part of the video, which is going to be showcasing my 2 runs for Sonic Speed and Supersonic Speed Eggman Expo, and then finally going into some detail of a couple other things. To wrap up this Eggman Expo video, guys, I just want to state right now, thank you so much for watching the video. I don't care if you watched a second of it or if you watched the whole thing. You guys are freaking awesome. I appreciate it so much. I just want to say, comment down below if you learned anything new about time trialing Sonic Speed and Supersonic Speed Eggman Expo. Not only that, comment down below if you enjoy Eggman Expo or if you dislike Eggman Expo. Is it something that has to do with the track itself, or is it something that has to do because of online play? I would really like to know what your thoughts are on Eggman Expo, genuinely. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's a very fun track for me to time trial, and I really want to get the same kind of thrill out there to you guys. I know the time trial videos haven't been doing so well, but I think these are really fun videos to make, and they honestly make me better at the game and make it easier for me to learn more in-depth things a lot quicker. Now, one thing I want to state is the video quality was kind of bad, and this is mainly due to the fact that my power went out numerous times during the editing process of the video and even recording audio, things of that nature. So because of that, my video quality for this Expo video has diminished. It happened about 4 times, so it made it very tough to actually go through and make this video. I've been demoralized, unfortunately, but I'm happy I got this out, and I'm happy the quality is at least somewhat passable. I will be working harder on my next videos to at least remedy the fact that this video was pretty bad and I got demoralized, and again, I'm very sorry, guys. Now, in terms of the next video, I'll give you a sneak peek into it, and that's actually going to be a challenge video, and this is going to be running a Excel character and an Excel vehicle combo, completing all S ranks in Sonic Speed. Or did I complete all S ranks in Sonic Speed? You guys will just have to wait and see when that video comes out. It's going to be really interesting to talk about it, because I know for a fact that some people struggle with the time trials, and I'm hoping with that video it can at least showcase that the time trials aren't nearly as bad as they are, or maybe they're just as bad as we all think they are. Again, I'm not going to tell you for sure what actually happened. Like I said, you'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, guys, I'm going to let you watch the rest of my runs. Have yourselves a great one. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you really enjoyed it. Comment down below what your favorite and least favorite parts of Eggman Expo are. And not only that, if you really enjoy the content and you want to see more, why not try subscribing? You can always unsubscribe later. Have yourselves a great one, everyone.